Hi, Mocap. Sorry, I'm just fucking around with shit. Okay, I think that's fixed now. I actually already have thread. So I have been hand stitching these boot covers in the evening. The zipper's in. So, separating zipper. It's now in. Now I need to go through and add the bias tape around the exterior before I even think of adding the buttons. Yeah, so it's easiest just left open. Remember, I handmade my bias tape double folded to match the colors, so it should take about 2 of these. I'm hoping just 2 to complete this. I've butchered my finger. Let's see, I'm not sure if you can see that grossness in the process of hand sewing, so I'm going to be wearing a finger cover now because that's fashionable these days. Let's see here. Just minimizing my references and getting things out of my way that I don't need. I hate wearing this thing, but I don't think my finger will be able to withstand much more. So what I first need to do is I need to check to make sure that these boot covers are the same length. I have no clue. This has been a trying project. I can definitely see why I just kind of set it aside. And then me just ignorantly going off of the patterns that I had made last year. Yep. Oh well, I'll learn. I'll just do some modifying. It can't be that bad. Oh goodness. The thing is, I need to cut back the toe. I tried them on with my boots, so here are my boots. And because I have smaller feet, the covers, even though I made these patterns from these boots, the covers, they come down a little bit too far, and I'm sure that's just not the fabric fitting into that slope, but still I want it to look like it should, and you should be able to see more of the front black tip of her boots. So I've got to suck it up and grow a pair and cut off the tips of these, which is easier said than done. So I need to take off. Oh gosh, this makes me really nervous. Which means I also need to take off then. Screw it, I'll just fold it and cut the same thing off from either side. Why the hell not? Any uneven ends I can just fix when I go over it with bias tape. But the real kicker is now, 1, not getting thread hooked on your zipper, but matching it up. So I'm going to be cutting through both sides of the leg warmer, boot cover, ankle wrap, unnecessary clothing, as well as the flap. Alright. So I needed to make sure that it was smooth going all the way up, so I couldn't stop cutting until I got past the little flap there. So what I'm going to do is just lay it over top. And I was pretty spot on with my drawing. I'm not sure how, but yeah, so it just needs to go out a little further, which would take it to the end of the other side. Without cutting yourself. Yay! So I'm going to touch this up just a little bit. I could see where I stopped with my scissors. There. And that shouldn't make too big of a difference in the long end of things. I need my elastic. There's a bin underneath the table here. I use it to, it's got a cushion top, so I use it to put my feet on when I'm not sitting Indian style, as well as to hold random things. So I'm going to put elastic onto these boot covers because I'm going to have the elastic hook onto the bottom underneath my heel. So I'm going to put this one together. So you can kind of see my dilemma, how you don't see enough toe. Which I've got to be careful. Well, I almost feel like I should just reshape them right now. Well, let's do that. This is just scaring the pants off of me. I'm making these large alterations. However, yeah, I can take a little bit more off. I don't want this. Maybe I do. No, I should. Let's just leave them zipped for now. Now again, I've got a mimic head on this side. Looks like they're even somehow. Interesting. I just roll with it sometimes. I don't ask questions, I just roll with it. I'm just working with it. Okay, let's see here. I'm just cutting off the bottom ends of my zipper edging that I made for my seam. Now it is time oh yeah, that does look a lot nicer. Okay, so I'm going to use, I don't need anything too extreme, I don't think. I hope these boot covers don't cause that big of a stink. How thick is this? I can tell you guys exactly. It's 1/2 inch thick, black elastic. And I'm going to sew it in, let's see here. I'm going to sew it in and mark it with a pin. My calf and everything will be pulling and stressing out the seam in the back, so I do want to make sure that my elastic is it doesn't have too much slack where I've got to worry about it not being able to stay down when my leg wants to pull it up, because every single time I move or bend, it's going to want to pull on the boot cover, so we want to make sure that it stays down. Oops. That was a gamble. So honestly, with one in place, screw it, I'm going to unzip it and then just use it to mimic the other one. Now that there's the boot in there, it's going to stretch around the shoe. So I'm going to have to slide the shoe into the boot cover, which is fine. Fine by me. I'm going to slide it in between. I use the chalk to mark where it's at before taking So the first one's done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly measure the elastic that was used. And then while I have them here, I'm going to mark them. And then because of the way that I marked them, it will be inside out over here. So I'm going to let's see here. So make sure I can see it. So where my marking's at. It wasn't even close. Again, I'm trying to pin in the same distance that my bias tape will cover because we don't want to see any of those pin marks, and this fabric is unforgiving with erasing pin marks after you pull the pin from the Oh, it's 3 o'clock. So I was wondering what all the loud noise was outside. School's out. I'm trying to figure out which one has my pin collection in. Alright, and there's my white thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly stitch in my elastic on both of the boot covers. That pin has yellow thread in it because I already pulled some out to get ready to start sewing the top. So that's alright. who would I be if I didn't have a container full? I want to make sure some of the heads of the pins get wider at the top to help people thread things. I want one that's got a very narrow, small. And I just saw it, but I lost him in the fray. There he is. Those big ones just drive me crazy right now. So now I'm just knotting the back end. Having a hard time grabbing it with my finger because of all the missing skin. Too funny. I like to try to get the knot all the way to the end as best as possible without having to cut it. I don't know if it's because I'm lazy. Yeah. Tighten the strands. So I'm going to start by, it really doesn't matter. Usually I like to keep my knot on the inside, but since I'm going to be covering this, it doesn't matter. I go through my tail. I hate it when the thread gets wrapped around the pinhead. My stitches are very big right now, just because I'm trying to get to the point where I can remove this pin that's just in my way. Ow. I'm not going through a lot of layers, so I'm not putting on that finger cushion, if you will. Let's just leave that container open. Okay, it's starting to go through layers of my skin. The back end is. Then I can still use this. So I'm just going to tie another knot and go to the other side. I want to do this before I do the bias tape because the bias tape will hide the stitch marks that I'm doing right now. So one boot cover, heel attachment thing done. One more to go. Hopefully I won't need this again, so I'm going to twist up the back end. Ow. Just need some assistance. I'm using my index finger to push the needle back through. Goodness gracious. pins or needles so small. I gotta make sure to put it away quickly. Don't want to lose it. Okay, now we're ready to move on to adding the yellow bias tape. Woohoo! So I want to try to conserve what I have and most efficiently do this. So I'm going to just start with the top. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out, okay. Okay, well, I guess I should start with this first. I'm going to cut off the salvage end. Even though you won't see the inside of this, I'm still going to sew it on as if you would. This part shouldn't hurt my fingers if we are going to be doing the side ends by the zipper. My index finger would need to suit up, if you will. Because I don't want people to see the knot, I'm going to come inside the double fold here. And I'm going to no one sees then where my needle is started. I'm going to come up through the back. And I'm going to come out through the top. You'll see why here in a second. I want to just start this right there. Got a lot more tail of this material than I thought I would need. But I don't want to cut it yet. I'm going to come straight down. And I want to make sure that my needle is going to come up exactly at the edge. I'm going to go into the end of my bias tape, just like I was going to hem pants. Follow along the top ridge. Come back out along that top edge. Come straight down, making sure that it lines up with the other side. Yup. Carefully playing taut, making sure to push down on my bias tape. Sorry, camera. whenever there's a sound on the other side, there's a light noise there. I knew that there's a knot of some sort. This yellow will not be this yellow when I am done weathering it and cell shading it. So it's looking nice. She's got one strip here and she's got another strip that goes right down the other side. So I'll show you guys after I finish getting this one all the way up. You know what, there's a lot of slack here, so I'm going to try to carefully there. It's a little bit easier to manage now. I did notice there is some extra. Sometimes I'll scrape my nail across the top. If I'm pulling the thread and I pull it too taut, it'll make the fabric start to pucker. And then that will show your stitch marks. And the whole point of this is to hide them. So. So I thought I could leave this white thread and it wasn't going to drive me crazy, but it started to get wrapped up in things. So I cut it off now. Sometimes I want to make my stitch distance a little too small, so I have to take it out and rethink. And this shoe is kind of getting in the way right now, so we're just going to put them off to the side. Carefully making sure that I'm pushing it against the seam. I don't want there to be slack. So it's coming along really nice. If you tilt it to the sides, you can kind of see the holes, but that's just because of the stupid white fabric. But I'm kind of using my fingers on the other side to help feel where the needle is going to come through and if it's at that seam edge. So this will take some hours to do. When I start noticing that I don't have, like I just pulled it through and I was like, hey, what I've got left won't get me to the top. Then I know that there is a knot, so go back because I made sure to cut enough that would go through to the top. So once I come through, I'm going to find the seam, follow the edge. Now I could have done this with my sewing machine. However, you would see the top stitch marks. You know, I want this to be as clean as possible. So there's nothing wrong with hand sewing. So just making sure that I'm still pushing against the edge there. This is more of a marigold than a yellow. It matches my buttons almost perfectly. It should want to slide freely within that double fold. So if you're getting a lot of resistance, it means that the needle tip has stuck on something, or you've threaded through some of the strands of fabric. If that's the case, just back the needle out. Try again. Oops. My thread over. I want to make sure that So I'm literally just weaving back and forth. So there's one. Came out really nice, I think. I'm going to follow along step by step. So I'm going to make sure that I keep the 2 strips for each piece with the shoe that I'm using. So slip this one out of the way for a second, and we'll do this guy. So cut off the waist. That was my shoulder. Okay. Okay. Should be the exact same length. However, yeah, we'll put it over that way. I'm going to put this. Hello, Bronco Captain. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you? So I'm going to measure out just enough thread to tie knots at the end. So just like last time. Oh, do I want to start? Start on this side and work my way. Yeah, okay. I'm going to tie my knot off on the double fold. Make sure my ends are even. And then what I do is I'll take this and I will go in through the center of that stitch, and I'm going to go up to the edge of the bias tape and come out that top. Just like how I was stitching it. This will help make sure that even the first stitch is uniform to the last. Thank you, but setting, wow, November 1st for your costume. That's, I mean, right around the corner, man. I think people don't want to watch somebody tediously hand stitch bias tape to shoe covers. I think that's why the viewer count's not up. I can't blame them. This isn't the most fun part of a costume either, is the tedious hand stitching, but it just comes out so clean. So I rather bite the bullet and hand stitch away. Oh, so for your leather stitches, are you hole punching it all and then hand stitching it? Because if you don't have a sewing machine, I think that's the next solution. So I'm just working on Mad Moxxi bias tape for her shoe covers, in case people are popping by wondering what the heck's going on. Gotta hide the sewing stitches. No one needs to see that. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I definitely dig hand sewing. I like that you can use hand sewing as both decoration, as well as, well, actual strength supports. Did I just double? Yes, I did. Alright then. Okay, I'm still alright there. Hand sewing leather. And I thought my fingers were raw from this project. Just making sure that my bias tape is pressed up against the edge as best as possible. I don't want any of the zigzag stitch that's holding the layers together to show. I don't want there to be bunch in the tape. Definitely not, since I cut enough just to make it from one end to the other with no slack. Darn. Looks like there's a section here, just like with the last one, that I can cut away. I can't work with that finger thing. I don't know if it's just because my hands are so small. Oh. Yeah. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. In my Band-Aids, I have Halloween nail stickers. Weird. It's not that my finger is bleeding or anything, I just need some extra skin. Except for these Band-Aids are from like the 30s, it seems. Holy horribleness. That just looks worse. If they're from the 30s, that means they should peel off of each other. Yep. That's awkward. I'm not using my sewing scissors on this. Pardon me as I makeshift a finger bumper. Oh, that's much more doable. Me and my tiny hands. Did it already come through? Yeah, okay. See, so I need that extra padding there to help push the needle through. I've used that finger thing quite a bit for heavier fabrics, but this is just too small and detailed. Moxxi should have been done last weekend, so the goal is to put some work into it this weekend. I need to do this edge taping to the entire costume. So you can see behind me, and it too has its strands. That taping is going to be holding in 16 gauge metal wire, galvanized wire, so it doesn't rust. Because the first shoot with this will be outside, and if it rains, we're still partaking. Hopefully. So yeah, this tape will hold everything together, hide things, hide seam lines. It's gonna be a lot of hand stitching. Just keep making sure that I'm pushing the bias tape down against the edge. I'm jumping back and forth between each boot cover. That way they are all both the same step at the same time. That way if I have a problem with one, I can alter it with the other at the exact same time. So I'm just hiding my stitches in my bias tape. So I work on the edging of Mad Moxxi's boot covers. The goal is to make this as close to the game render as possible. You can see the model on the side panel there. So far, so good. I'm not sure what just happened with the knot I tried to make there, but yay thread. Well, at least it's a knot. Not a happy one, but a knot. So now I've got one strip on both. Yay. Let's see here then. I want the bigger. So this is gonna have to go. I want the double-sided edge to be against the flap. That way it's a bigger slope. It makes sense in my brain, even if you guys don't get it. Sorry. And so let's cut the end off. There's one that'll. Okay, so the reason I'm doing these strips is because these top sections will get covered by more yellow. So I need to have them down before I put the other stuff on. Unfortunately. So it did slip. I'll make it work. I'll make it work. This one's got more curve to it than that one. Oh well. I'm going to... Oh, goodness. I should sew them separately before I sew them together. Okay. I'm going to get my hand dandy glue down, and I'm going to glue down the bias tape in the correct position as its counterpart before I hand sew it and it slides around. Now I've got to be very careful. Just looking on my nails now. Now I can butt it up closely to the seam that's already there. And what I'll do is I'm going to put some heavy objects on it. I don't have to worry, even though with this being very light fabric, the glue seeping through because it is double folded. So that was something to take into consideration as well. Will it seep through? No! Yes! Now to do this side. Now this one's going to be a little different because there's a little bit more of a curve. I don't know why. I thought I sewed them the same, but evidently not. Just want to get this one out of the way. There. I'm still going to sew it. This is just helping tack it down in place. Because this fabric is so slick, I don't trust that with water or with extreme wear and bending of my ankle and moving around, that this won't come undone. So I'm just going to do some quick hide stitches down the side on both. I must be getting crazy, or I'm just hungry, because I definitely just tied a knot in this without putting this stupid ass needle on it. Is it Friday yet? No, it's not. Darn. Just kidding, I'll tie another knot. Now there's a needle on it. We're getting there, slowly but surely. I don't want it to show from the outside. I guess I'll just do it in here then. Where to hide the knot. The starting knot so nobody sees. Now, I don't want to go through my lining on the inside, so I've got to make sure that I'm threading it down the center. Yeah. So with this being thin fabric too, I can't pull real taut on it. So I've got my hand on the inside of the boot, trying to make sure that I don't get a knot, because it'll be harder to undo. But is my left hand savvy enough? Can you pick up the slack, left hand? So I'm going to do it the other way. I think my left hand's going to be better down the center. These ones, the stitches, I'm doing them a little wider now, just because this does have a little bit of glue on it. I don't want to bend this. I want this to stay straight. Ow. Besides poking myself in the shoulder with it. That way it worked out well. Heavy sigh. I don't know how that happened. I feel like I should know, but I don't. Interesting. Okay, that's not a good pain in the ass at all. Just making sure that I stretch it and it doesn't want to start bending. Oh, I forgot the knot happened around the top. So one boot cover's got its stripes going up and down. That's not half bad. I still have to paint the buttons. Buttons, buttons, buttons. Make sure to keep the yellow sections with the boot covers they belong to. Nope. Didn't do too many layers that time. There we go. Just working on my Mad Moxxi boot covers still. Stitching on the bias tape. So this one went a lot faster than the other side. Interesting. All right. So today, I'm going to actually wrap this up. Today we added the Velcro to keep the boot covers down and on top of the shoes. Yay! And then we got the bias tape hand stitching started. Sorry it takes so long. I don't know what to tell you. Tomorrow I'll be on again. Exciting news this weekend. I will be posting up on YouTube a unboxing video. I got some fun art from a giveaway from Singapore that I can't wait to share with you guys in an unboxing video this weekend. So tomorrow, hopefully around noon, I'll post up on my Instagram exactly what's happening. We're going to continue putting the yellow bias tape on. It's looking really clean. I greatly appreciate everybody that stopped by. Brown Coat Captain, thank you very much for your conversation. I greatly appreciate it. So yeah, if you want to continue following my progress on my projects, check it out my Instagram. If you want to see any of the write-ups from projects past, or any of the pictures taken at conventions or festivals I've gone to, you can check out my Facebook page. YouTube has all of my archived Twitch videos, as well as some fun unboxing videos of artwork that comes my way. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. If you want to collaborate on a future project, shoot me an email. If you want to just say hi, shoot me an email. If you don't want to say hi, don't do any of the above. Thanks again, and I will see you guys later.